The part of communication came from Coach Knight at Indiana. And it started with everything we did to start practice, we had to call out each other's name. And so then, as a pro coach, I advanced it and took it so that I banned an hour before the game, phones, pagers, because I was recognizing all around me, from my kids to that people are so tied to their personal computer that it could be a distraction if you're trying to win games and keep your job. So we basically put in a fine of $1,000 for every ring of the phone or a pager. So now that's to the extreme. I know you guys don't have that opportunity, but we had a situation where a shoot around in Denver and someone's pager, we were on the court, someone's pager went off. So of course it rang 4 times and no one would claim the damn pager. So the communication part, I think you have to understand what you're dealing with, that these kids, they are working with their thumbs to communicate. You've got to transition them that when they come into your practice to talk to each other. You can be good in transition based off you have better athletes, but the best teams are great communicators. They've gotten past that individual part and understand that it's not just, I've got the ball, you got help on who's helping me on my left, who's helping me on my right. I just believe that whatever drill a coach is going through to show you, everyone's talking about get to the nail, tag, build a wall, all right? All that's irrelevant when the good teams play each other, because the good teams are going to put you in a bad position. And out of that bad position, the only way you can save yourself are that the players are communicating within themselves, because winning is so important to them that they won't let one of their other fellow players stand on the island by themselves. You can always tell a bad team because when the timeouts come, the coach is yelling, who's got who? So a story I started to tell, Tracy McGrady, BJ Armstrong, who's an agent for Wasserman that represented Tracy, like, how did you get Tracy at 18 years old to get through practice? Well, what happened to me was when I was a high school coach, I had 2 immensely talented 9th graders. And I wanted to put them, the school that I went to is 4,000 students. And that's the school I coached at. And I wanted to get them ready to go in these big gyms. This gym here is smaller than my home gym that I played in 1976 through 80. My home gym held 4,300 people. So when I say that if you want to play big time, that's the smallest crowd I played in until I got to college, and I went to Indiana and it held 17,000. For our state tournament, we played at the University of Dayton, which holds 13,000, excuse me. So the communication part, I learned when you have these great athletes competing against each other, they have to be able to communicate at a level that's far greater than what they're going to go through in practice. And the tough part, I know for you Canadian coaches, that you don't have your kids all the time, you don't have the same gym. I understand all that. But I was asked to come here and say, hey, coach, you got through the storm. What can you give these guys? 1 or 2 things that will help them. One thing that will help you during the game, someone on your bench must keep the running score. All right? So there's a score that's on the clock, but there's an internal score. So the internal score may be that they just outscored you 8-2 or 10-2. You must learn from your practices and scrimmages what kind of run your team can withstand. All right, I learned that from a clinic with Dean Smith. So I had a guy sit behind me on the bench, and he would tell me, Coach, 6-4, 8-4. If it ever went 8-2, it was an automatic 20-second timeout. Automatic. Because I can't just let the opposing team run off with the game. In basketball, as far as coaching, I'm a possession counter. Possessions are more important to me than what offense to run and what defense. I want to be very successful coming out after timeout. I want to be very successful after free throws. Because what I've learned is that all the good coaches, so in the NBA there's a product called Sports View. Sports View is 26 cameras in every NBA arena that tells you exactly every play that has been made by every player during the season. So it is a scouting report that is unbelievably detrimental to you if you don't train your players on both sides of their body. Because do you really want to go in a game with LeBron James or Dwayne Wade and they know every friggin' move you made for the whole season and you don't have the ability to play on both sides of your body? That's the ultimate in a scouting report. And that's why I learned that I've got to train them. I owe it to them to train them on both sides of their body, so when they walk into a good coach, good conference, they have a chance to be successful. And that success normally rolls over that they're personally successful. We took 2 kids, T-Mac. T-Mac was so out of it when I took over as coach at Toronto. I'm the one that we got his apartment for him. We got the woman to cook his meals, to clean his apartment, and we found a woman to homeschool him. And once Tracy started the homeschooling, and she got him to understand that I needed him to be selfish. See, I talk to my players about I need you to be selfish. I need you to want this for yourself. Because if I get a selfish group of players, if I get 9 or 10 of them that will work on the drills and play from both sides of their body, then I want them to come back and say, hey, coach, they're running this defense. What are we supposed to do? Now I get a chance to coach. So we're going to talk about transition. So here's one of the biggest fallacies that is being preached to people. They're telling all you coaches that this is the best shot in basketball, outside of a dunk, all right? That is absolutely incorrect. And I'll tell you why. The only thing that's important in basketball is what winning teams do. So when you shoot this shot against winning teams, and the most you're going to make is 3.5 of them, that means 6.5, they're sprinting that way. See, they give you a number here, which is a gross number. It's like they put in the paper, oh, he's making $10 million. They're not telling you that he's paying $5.4 million in taxes. So this stat on the corner shot, it never gives you the tax. And the tax is, oh, we're playing an athletic team, shots up. Ask Greg Popovich what happened to him when they played the Clippers and shot corner shots and couldn't make it. They got blitzed that way. All right, the math doesn't work. So Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter have made $380 million not shooting a 3. Wasn't allowed to. Never, no way. They weren't allowed to shoot the 3, and they weren't allowed to dunk. No dunking in my practice. Those rims right there, they're mine. Stay off of them. It's a maturity issue. I need to teach them that you're going to play against good players, and when you play against good players, they can jump to 10 feet. They actually can jump to 11 feet. So this is how we broke it down to them. So in basketball, for me, young players, we want to dominate. Inside these orange cones. I want them to be efficient inside those orange cones. The whole thing of taking a young person who's not mature and telling him to come out here to shoot the 3, you're going to devalue him. So if I've got 2 young guys, we never play below the second block. So on my Twitter account, before I came out here, I put on that basketball is a mathematical calculation. It is enhanced by skill and talent, but it's truly a mathematical calculation. So they never write that if you're right-handed and you're standing here shooting, that the rim is and the backboard's extended out over the court. This is dead man's land because all the angles mathematically are terrible. So we first taught Tracy and Vince to play down here. All right? Nope, not against an arm bar. If you allow a young player to play against an arm bar, the official can swallow his whistle. So now I take a great athlete and we swing the gate. It's what I call swing the gate. We swing the gate. So now our micing drill comes into play. So because we've been taught to play against good teams, the only shot that they have is to bank the basketball off the window. Swing the gate, like Jack Sigma, bank the ball off the backboard. The reason why, you want to make that great defender come to you. If you do not make the more talented athlete come to you, you can't run around them. Coaches are selling, well, we need spacing. Well, if you can't shoot, if you can't dribble with your opposite hand, there is no spacing. At Indiana, consistently, there was one or two guys we wouldn't guard at all. So just because a person is standing out there and the good coaching staffs, what are you doing out there? They can't make that shot. So we dominated between here. That's all we wanted to do. So it carries over from our micing drill. So now they swing the gate, they can drive left, they can drive right. Because what happens with good teams, well-coached teams, and there are good coaches, you'll catch the basketball out here, you'll beat the first guy. And who's waiting on you? Second guy every time. I'm only talking about good teams. Those are the ones I want to beat. I'm not worried about the bad teams. So now you catch the basketball here, give it to me, I swing the gate, he either drops, I step back, make the shot. And we do it on both sides. Every single day. Because when you do true analytics, people talk about analytics, they don't know analytics. We built the first analytical model in 1998 in Toronto. Analytics involves 15 people, not the 10 people on the court. 15. 5 red, 5 white. 1 coach, 2 coach, 3 zebras. Because all 15 affect the game. What the 5 players do in the red versus the 5 in the white are a direct result of what that coach is calling and what that coach is calling. And then it's a direct result as if the 3 zebras will let them play that way. So how can you have an accurate calculation if you don't put the proper amount of people in the equation? Basketball is a mathematical calculation, truly enhanced by skill building and talent. But if you don't get the proper calculation with all the right numbers in it, you're dead. So historically in the NBA, if you shoot more free throws than the other team, you win the game. There is an anomaly. That anomaly was generated by Rick Pitino, where Rick Pitino was a coach at Providence. He couldn't beat John Thompson, Louis Carnesecca, Raleigh Massimino playing a 50-point game because he couldn't recruit that kind of player. So Rick sped the game up. Rick sped the game up and said, I'm going to shoot 33s. And the problem wasn't what Rick was doing. The problem was the older guys couldn't change because they were practicing a 50-point game in practice. So there are certain coaches. How did Bobby Knight become such a good coach? You have to understand the root cause of why things are being done. Bobby Knight was at Army. Certain kind of kid you can recruit. He's playing the St. John's, the Georgetowns, can't beat him. So he comes up with an offense called motion. Motion is a traffic jam. Coaches, listen to me. I don't care what they say. Oh, we're running pick and roll, we're running handoff. It's all bull. It's a traffic jam. All they're running is, anyone been to Toronto, the 401, you know it's a mess. All they're throwing you in is the 401. So you teach your kids to communicate out of the traffic jam. Forget what it's called. There are certain actions, traffic jams on certain parts of the floor. You teach your kids how to handle the traffic jam. So one way to help you. So I was fortunate enough to be assistant coach in Milwaukee with Dale Harris, and Dale had been assistant coach with Don Nelson. So Dale had a numbering system for offense. Numbering. So Dale called 7 up. That was a pick and roll on the top. The first number defined what the traffic jam was. The arrow defined where it would happen. So in the NBA where you don't have practices, now, I said when I go to Toronto, Dale missed the boat. He wouldn't listen to me. And he's a head coach, don't have to. Because he had never played, he didn't understand that the numbering system was more valuable to the defense than it is to the offense. You play 3 games in 4 nights. All right, you play back-to-back games on the weekend. So pick and roll, what are you gonna call that traffic jam? Pick a number. So when the kids hear that number, they know what? There's a traffic jam going on at a certain part of the floor. 7 up, 7 out. 66 was what everybody calls floppy. Smalls on the block, bigs at the top, screen down, screen across, screen down. So I changed the offensive numbering system to a defensive numbering system. Now all my coaches had to do was I wouldn't have to bring my guys in for shoot around. I could let them be rested. And when the other team called the play out, we related that back to what the action was. So now you get in the tournament and you're saying, well, we're going to see 20 different plays or 15 different plays. It doesn't make any difference, guys. It's a traffic jam. Define for your players where the traffic jam is going to happen. So as we grew and learned it defensively, then the players adapted it offensively. So now in transition, if the point guard yelled 7 up, what was going to happen for us? It's spontaneous. Now I take the good coach out of the game because he doesn't know what in the heck we're running. He doesn't know when we're running. But think more of every action in a game is a traffic jam. And coach your young people to understand traffic jam call, what are we doing? I'm on your left, I'm on the right. Pick and roll, what are we doing? Are we going to whack the trap up? Are we going to blitz it? So when trapping the basketball, all right, point guard's coming off, I'm X5, 05 setting the screen. So blitz, it is a football term. But what I learned from Billy Cunningham when I played against the Sixers, when they would blitz, they would force the point guard to take 2 dribbles toward half court. And by taking 2 dribbles at half court, it let everybody get back in position. So those are subtle things that I learned to help me understand and help my players understand how to handle a traffic jam better. And I wish I had more time to give you more stuff, but to me, I think it's wrong for me to come here and tell you this is the greatest offense in the world, this is the greatest defense in the world, when in reality there's going to be 60 transition possessions. If you don't handle those 60 transition possessions, you're down at least 10 points. And maybe down more. So the most important thing, how do you get your kids to communicate? It starts way before they get to the gym with you. It starts with you sending them a note, an email. Let's make sure we're communicating today to start practice. It starts with them knowing all the names of their teammates. Because you're living in an environment where the parents are telling them it should be about you. So you have to transition them in that the mature team that's going to win. It's about us, us, us. And the way I've learned to do that is that the more a coach can help them understand what's coming at them, the easier it is to give them more. So I don't care if they say, well, it's pick and roll, it's whatever. It's all it is a traffic jam. Knight created the motion so that the more talented guys, so at Indiana you never call a play. We'd be in triangle, which was 3 guys inside and 2 guys out. We'd be 4 inside, which is 4, and Isaiah, so he could go one-on-one while they're chasing everybody else. But Knight created it out of necessity. He was at Army. He couldn't beat the more talented teams he had to play in the East, so he came up with an offense where the more talented athletes couldn't stay with his less talented athletes. And how that works is the screen is to the offense what the charge is to the defense. The screen is to the offense what the charge is to the defense. The better you screen and put your body on people, the bigger chain reaction you are forcing. And now with the kids playing with the clock, if you waste screens, you are wasting time. Them bringing the clock down is the most tragic thing that has happened to young players, because now anyone can stand on the sideline and say, go up and down the floor. People aren't forced to learn how to coach. Anyone can manage. You go to an AAU tournament in the United States, you'll see guys that never touched the basketball on the sideline thinking he's the greatest thing in the world because of the 24-second clock. Am I wrong? Guy never been in a school, never took a class, and he's the greatest thing since sliced bread in the AAU tournament. So think of modifying what you're doing. As the clock runs, your screens have to be better. Your traffic jams have to be better. Now, whatever traffic jam you're going to create, that's up to you. Because I think a coach needs to be given credit for the talent that he has in his own, under his own management. But what I learned was that I could grow if I helped them understand. All right? It's not those 50 plays. They're going to set a pick and roll here. They're going to set a pick and roll here. They're going to go block to block screen. So block to block screen is 12 action. All right? Block to block, 12 action. What are they running? One-on-one is 11 up. One-on-one. Where at? So you can yell, 11 up, Dan. So you know it's Dan knows they're going to try to take him one-on-one. 11 down is what? They're going to throw it in the block. So this portion, I'm supposed to talk about communication, but this is the real stuff. Not going into and having to worry about 50 daggone plays. Putting the pressure on your staff to, okay, what are their top 10 plays? And how do we equate that to a traffic jam so we're consistent with our players? You can't be where they're running 5 out, 27A, because the clock doesn't allow it. The sooner that they can identify where the basketball is going to be, think about it. Basketball does not include 5 people. The ball has to go left, right, or straight. So it involves 2 people, maybe 3 people at the most. And now everybody's running the gym, and you got corner field, and they're going to play with 3 people. So the sooner the coach and his team can get on the same page in transition, the better it is for the group. The sooner you can get on the same page, you will force the other team to take more shots at the end of the clock. And the math says the numbers go down dimensionally as the clock goes down. If you're poor in transition, that means you're calling timeout and you're asking the question, who is guarding number 24? The way to clean that up is what we're getting ready to do now with the substitutions. We are going to put them in 4 teams. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. You guys all go white, please. And you guys all go red. All right, so 1s down there. 3 out on the floor and 2 subs. You guys down here, 3 on the floor and 2 subs. You guys are on the baseline, you're in next. So all of you have these drills, but what I'm doing is that I'm forcing them, they're gonna have to communicate, and they have to substitute each other no more than every 2 plays, all right? But inside of that, all right, that's my whole. But the part that you have to pay attention to, if someone's bringing the basketball, throw those dots off, please, guys. If someone's bringing the basketball up the left side of the floor, they should be dribbling with their left hand. All right? If they bring the basketball past the timeline, they got to go deeper to the next volleyball line. Every day. So when you're teaching the whole, do not allow the slippage on the parts. Left side of the floor, left hand. Right side of the floor, right hand. Don't be wider than the volleyball floor. And then once they get it, when you play a better team, all right, your chances improve of being successful against them because you're not being forced outside where all your passes are longer. Simple rule, we don't want to make a pass further than 15 feet. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you're not in, when your team gets the basketball and goes the other way, you got to go down the sideline. You're going to sub every what? Got that, Shorty? Okay. Roll that basketball, please. So let's go over everything. Half court pickup. Half court. Stay. Whoa. Red team on, white off. Red team on, so we get opposite colors. Stay right here, red. So get in a straight line. You guys, white, get in a straight line. So when I call the number, that's the person that has to stop the ball. So again, when everything I do, I want to confuse them. I want them to have to figure it out. The sooner they figure it out and get away from me, like, okay, coach, we got this. Let's go to the next drill. That's what's really important because it's about their growth and learning how to communicate and understand. I want them from pace. I want them to play fast in practice so that if I play against a fast team in a game, it's not an adjustment. What I found, there was a great high school team in the state of Ohio called Dayton Dunbar. And Dayton Dunbar was press you when you came out the locker room. And Mike Haley, that coach, he won 7 or 8 state championships. And it was amazing to me that even if someone beat him in the tournament, they would lose the next game because they were so exhausted from the energy that they put out. So my whole philosophy is to go fast in practice. That may not be the pace we play in the game, but at least I prep them if a team's gonna press us or if we're behind and we just have to play faster to catch up. So pace for me is an item specific to practice, all right? I do not believe in these guys who come in the NBA and say, oh, we're gonna score 120 points. Well, you're getting ready to get smoked because you know why? The guy who can't play, you're getting ready to let him make layups. And the one thing about a pro player, once he gets confidence, he can make anything. Because he was a good player to get to that level. And so I don't like giving players confidence. I like for my young men to understand why we're training both sides. And then when they guard the guys on the other side, they understand, well, he can't dribble with his left hand. So okay, so you're going down on offense. Whoa. You get one shot, then you're coming back on defense. So what do you have to do? So let's talk about it. I'm gonna call a number. That number has to stop the ball, right? So what do the other two guys have to yell? Let's walk through it. Come on, let's walk through it. 2, 2, 2. Stop. Yeah, there you go. All right. All right. No, not you have left. I'm on your left. All right. And you're saying what?
I got right.
Yeah, a little more bass in your voice. All right.
I got right. Yell it.
All right. That's what you have to do, right? I'm on your left. I'm on your right. All right. You don't build a physical wall. You build a communication wall. All right. You build a communication wall, and then building that wall, you decide what you're going to do. All right. So right now, we're going to go. Offense is going to go pick and roll. All right. So once you get it to the second line, all right, you call 7. All right.
7.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's the next step? Early, right? So what they did was they created a traffic jam, right? So I've already given you the warning that they're going to run pick and roll, right? So first thing you're yelling, screen left, and then tell him what the coverage is.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, going the other way. Nope, white's ball. White's ball, red line up. Single file line, please. 2, go. Whoa, 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 whoa. You gotta, right? Everybody's gotta talk. Stop being shy, young men. Talk. Scream. Just yell and scream it out. Go. Better. Stop. Good job. You're off. Next on. Red here at half court. White here. White's on offense. New group's on. You guys at the other end.
You're white. Go ahead.
Line it up. Whoa, where are you supposed to be lined up at? Three. Okay, stop. Good try. All right, that's the most important thing. You tried. All right, next time you'll make it. All right, you got to start somewhere. All right, but after what you did down here and jumped off 2 feet, that was a heck of an effort. All right, let's go. White out. White out. You guys on D. Roll it. Roll it here, please. Roll it down. Roll it down there. You guys are on defense here. Please. Nope. Off. Whoa. Where are you supposed to line up at? 2. Stop. What are you doing? You have to focus on what we're doing. Right? Go back. Get it right. Young man, what is your job? Yeah, in a basketball game. What position do you play? So what in the devil did you let him have the basketball for? Why did you let him have the basketball? So here's the thing. If you're going to lead all the time. All right? If you're going to be the lead dog, that's the only dog that gets to change the scenery. Lead all the time. All right? You don't let someone who is going to carry the basketball up, doesn't know the play, so now you've lost a possession. 3. Good job. Turn it around. Let's go. Offense on defense, half court. White's coming at you. Come on, get lined up, get lined up. 2. Stop. Stop, 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 stop. You have to talk. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Does it work? Your left hand. You were on the left side of the floor, right? Okay, next. Where's Red at? What are you guys doing? Let's go. Red on D. Whoa. Add a fourth one. Add a fourth one in. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm going to call 2 numbers. First number stops the ball, second number gets the first pass. So you want to walk through it? So you guys want to walk through it first? Okay, come on. 2-4. Stay here, stop. So here, you got to drop. If you're the 4th number, you got to drop to the nail. All right?
Yeah.
If he's covered on the first pass?
Yeah.
All right? Now all you're doing is managing the backside.
Stop.
All right? But you decide. All right? So if he throws it early and he's not there, then what happens? You switch spots. All right? If he throws it there, then you take him. All right? Then what do you say? All right? I'm on your left and you drop here. Stay with me. You drop here. So here's a technique that I learned at Indiana. This whole thing of, drop to the nail and whatever, so we called it fake trap. The way it was taught to us at Indiana is to slow him down. You fake at him to get him slowed down, and you never leave until the ball goes in the air. All right? So I see a lot of indecision because coaches say, well, get there, and then they end up being a matador. And then the way I build a defense is that the feet are to the center circle in the corner. So basically, when I did my first high school book, we built out a triangle, and the triangle basically crossed here. So it went from the corner up to the top of the key, and from that corner to the top of the key. Because I believe visually, you've got to give the players something to know exactly. Coaches say, well, I don't want you driving middle, or I don't want you driving baseline. In reality, for us, we wanted to make sure that triangle, just keep him out of the triangle. So his feet from where he was at would be here, head up, tie your shoestrings up, young man, so you don't. Okay, let's go back down. We'll start again. Change ends, change ends, change ends. Go, 1-3, 1-3. All right, stop. So, go to the post again. Go ahead, go to the post, throw in the ball. Get in the post there. Big on small. So, this is something that good coaches you'll learn to do. So anyone coming in off the bench needs the number one thing they need to know outside of who they're subbing in for and who they're guarding is how many team fouls. All right, so I earned my 6 years in the NBA by playing off the bench, and I had to learn how to be efficient. So So big on small, the first thing that needs to go through your head is how many team fouls I have. All right, so say there's only 2 team fouls. What do? You foul him early. So then what happens? They just take the ball out of bounds. All right? So it's extremely important to know how many team fouls because you save yourself possessions. So instead of coach having to call a timeout or call somebody over, how do we end up there? Well, look, break his arms. All right? Have you seen him shoot free throws? Have you seen him shoot free throws?
Yeah.
Can he make free throws?
Not really.
Okay, then even better. Even better. So in 1979, we were playing in the NIT in New York, and we were playing in the final game, and we were down 1, and I got in that position. I got stuck on a switch with Joe Barry Carroll, and in my mind, I knew he hadn't made any free throws. He was a poor free throw shooter. I whacked him. He missed the front end of the one-on-one. And then the way the fortune turned was that we threw the ball to Woodson. They double teamed him, he threw it out to me, and I made a shot, and we won the NIT. But it was all based off of, and then my whole NBA career, I was a bench player, come off the bench. So I needed to know how many team fouls, because if they were gonna go at me in the first or second possession, I needed to know if I had fouls to waste so they would take the ball out of bounds. So it's a small thing, but it's a big thing when you're playing winning teams. As I said, as a coach, I'm a possession counter. If I can steal 8, 10 possessions a game, my chances of winning are going to be extremely good. Most coaches think that just let the game go. I don't agree with that. I think you have to manage your way through the game. And again, for me, it's a mathematical calculation. So when you go home tonight, all of you, if you're playing off the bench, know how many team fouls. Other end, let's go. Let's go. Defense. Red defense. Red defense. Let's go. 1-4. 1-4. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you supposed to do? Have you seen him make free throws? Right? He took you down there because he thinks, hey, I got an advantage, right? And so if he can't make free throws, you've got an advantage. All right? So just remember that. When they take you down there, if you know what the team foul situation is, you just whack him up, have them take it out on the sideline, and get everybody back to where they're supposed to. All right? You guys sit down, please. Give them a hand again, please. So we're going to go one last session of Q&A, and then for those of you who will be kind enough to come tomorrow, then I'm back tomorrow. Any more questions, please?
Any questions, just raise your hands, coaches. I might have to find you and get a mic up there.
I guess he wants some exercise.
Just wondering, do you have any, when you're helping players understand the traffic jam that you're talking about?
Yes.
Are there any things you can do to help them read the situation? Something like that. I like that concept, but I just don't know if you can talk about those.
It really boils down to the more reps you can put them in this speed environment, because I believe you give them 2 coverages and they decide what's going to happen in the coverage. The only thing would change the coverage if you had an extraordinary player. So extraordinary player means they got a great point guard. When he passes the ball, don't let him have the basketball back. Right? So we were very successful against the New York Knicks because Van Gundy, his second unit had to have the point guard handle the basketball. So we would trap the point guard, make him throw it, and then we wouldn't let it have it back, and the clock's running down. So I think that, what I'm trying to show you coaches is that this is a progression. The bad part is that I wish you had your teams for 2 or 3 years so that you could put it in and then watch the players grow. But I don't think when you'd have kids for a year that you can give them 3 options. You're either going to do something that I believe is very aggressive, all right, or you change it. And I would only change the aggression because we've gone into the penalty, or you have an extraordinary player and they are drawing fouls consistently in your coverage.
Coach Butch, whenever you're ready.
I was just wondering if you could expand on the triangle concept. Its angles that we talked about earlier.
So I don't believe basketball players are built to play everywhere on the court, all right? The math, the sheer math says that that's not the way it's going to happen. So by using the Mikan drill, there's basically a square that I'm teaching them to play, and recognize that the number 1 rule for a defensive player on a driving player is charge, right? At your level. At the next level, the number 1 thing is when you drive, you have to score above the square, because the good teams have someone that can jump to 11 feet. So that was a killer for me when I went from Indiana to the Lakers. I could get around Magic Johnson, but man, then I'm sitting there looking at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Jim Jones. And no one ever said to me, like, learn how to bank the basketball outside the square. So it was Norm Nixon taking me at night in the gym and showing me all this stuff, or I would not have survived. Because I could really shoot the basketball. I'm the only guard that's ever led the Big Ten in field goal percentage. All right? I can teach shooting the basketball. But when you shoot that good, you don't have to drive that often. Plus, Bobby Knight wouldn't let you go off the dribble. So now I go into an environment where you have to go off the dribble, and I'm totally unprepared. So the whole thing for me is that if I can teach young players to dominate that square, all I'm really doing is teaching that when they face a more talented player or an older player, that he has to come to him. And the physics say that he should be able to outrun him forward if he's backward.